G'day folks, it's Cortezerino, and if you've tuned in to see... Whoops, try that again. G'day folks, it's Cortezerino. If you've tuned in to see me doing epic time lapses again, then you are out of luck, because I absolutely refuse to go any further on this build until I can get me some of this stuff, and that is rooted dirt, one of my new favourite blocks. And I actually tried, I did guys, I got the comments saying, you could go off and find a naturally spawned azalea tree, and if you dig underneath it there is tons of rooted dirt, and I did that. I flew out into a new part of my world, and I literally flew around for 10 minutes loading up more of my world than I've ever done before I found one tree, and yeah, I really don't want to do that again. I make a point of not loading up sections of my world if I don't have to, and yeah, that was ridiculous. So we are going to be making ourselves a rooted dirt farm today, and I'll give you the warning, it is going to be a very redstone heavy episode. So I did a bit of research online looking around for rooted dirt farms, and I really didn't see much. Etho had a really good episode where he made a small one, and I think Cubfan did another small one. I want to do a great big one, and I'm going to start with this design here. So this was Ilmango's bone meal farm that I converted so I could get all these lovely goodies. But I kind of want to use this stone generator that he's got up the back and make a whole line of stone that I can then turn to moss, and we can bone meal and grab the little azalea bushes, bone meal them again, and underneath you get one little bit of rooted dirt. So that's the plan. So it's pretty cool. You can do this farm completely automatically. You don't need to be planting the saplings yourself or bone mealing yourself. You can just press a button and everything will work. So if I'm going to be going completely automatic, I also want to try and do a TNT sort of blast chamber, and I've never invented one of them myself, so that this will be interesting. And because we're using TNT while I'm AFK, I don't want to build this in my base. So we are off to the industrial area. So the industrial area is just a little spot I've got in my world where I can do all my mining for sand and terracotta. And I can just build my great big machines and not have to worry about them looking absolutely terrible. And you can see I have sort of played around with the TNT duping and launches. So I've got this old tree farm here. And this is new, I haven't shown this before. I've got all this crying obsidian from my piglin trading, and I was getting sick of every now and then one of the TNT would blast open the floor, so I've replaced the ground here, so it looks really, really ugly. But that's sort of a different TNT launcher to what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of an automatic one that's going to run when I'm not there. This one only runs when I hit a button. So I kind of don't want to build it out here with my other machines, because I can picture myself going AFK and coming back and having a big hole all the way to bedrock. So I think what we're going to do is I'll probably build it out in the ocean here somewhere. And there's ice all over the place, but that's probably not a bad thing, because that means I can run around on the ice and build this and not have to worry about falling in the water. And yeah, we can just get rid of all this later on. So yeah, I think we will build it right here. And I'm going to get started with the stone generator. And you've probably got an idea already that I sort of know what I'm doing. I've invented a fair bit of this in creative at the moment. I haven't finished designing it, but I've done enough that I'm confident I can get this to work. It's not working. I don't know what's wrong. Why are you not generating stone? I built this in creative and it works perfectly. And then I build it here and absolutely nothing's happening. I don't know what I've done. This is not looking good, but anyway, I think I will solve this problem later. We're recording now. I don't want to spend the next hour or two trying to figure this out, but here's my lovely stone generator, guys, that is not working at all. But what it should do is make a line of stone every time I flick that lever. A single line of stone will pop out. And the idea is that we turn those into moss blocks. And this is pretty easy actually, because let's say you've got your little line of stone up in the air. You can pretty much bone meal the moss block anywhere nearby and it'll spread to that bit of stone like that. So that's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this moss block down below out of the way of all the other redstone I'll need to be doing. And we've just got to set that up with a dispenser facing into it and a filling system for the bone meal so we can load up all the dispensers. And through the magic of television, we are all done. So I've got the moss down here, got the dispensers underneath, and just those observers there are looking at that bit of rail. So I can just hit this button here and bone meal them. And this is what I mean by I've sort of designed the machine in creative and I know I can get it to work. I've designed it all with button presses so I can get every little element working before I try and rig it all up. So we've got a number 1 here, that's for the stone generator that isn't working yet. So there we go, our single line of stone extends, and I'm going to have something just in here to stop it from extending any further. So once that happens, we hit number 2, and nothing's working. Oh no, this is turning into an absolute disaster. Let's try that one more time. Why didn't that work? Oh my gosh. Okay, I have a theory. In my other design, I have this thing absolutely surrounded in other blocks, and maybe that is forcing it to spread up to there. So I've added a few in. Let's see if that works. No, not yet. Oh no. Well, it probably didn't help that I had those blocks in the completely wrong spot. Yes! That was the problem. Okay, we're recovering. We've solved one of the 2 problems. So there we go. We can hit that and the moss will spread up to there. And none of the other stone there's turning to moss because I've got all those blocks on top of it covering it up. So yeah, that's step 2 done. So step 3 is I now need to have a line of dispensers right here because we need to bone meal whatever appears up on this bit of moss. So now I'm just going to rig up a bunch of dispensers and another refilling system. And you'll notice I've done this in a crazy unusual way. That's because once we grow a tree here, we're gonna need to get it out of the way. We're gonna need to push it away. And so I need to have nothing above these dispensers pretty much, which makes refilling them really hard. So if I'm going to push a tree up and across, yeah, we can't have anything up here. So what I'm doing is I've got a line of hoppers here heading down into a dropper just below this dispenser. And then I can hit it with a redstone repeater. It'll fire the dispenser, but it'll also fire the dropper underneath. So that'll send the bone meal up to here and across. So let's test it all together now. So the stone generator still isn't working, but I've got a line of stone in there. We go step number 2, spreads it up to there. Did we get an Azalea? Did we get one? No, we didn't. But then we can go step number 3, and I've just got 2 observers that will face into each other, and it spits out all our bone meal. So that's pretty cool. Let's have a quick nap before all the beasties come for me. Okay, so now we've got to do step number 4, and let's imagine that right here we've had an azalea tree grow. So we'll have a piece of rooted dirt right there, and then our tree will be extending up there. So what we need to do, here we go. So I need to push all of that up 2 blocks tall, so that bit of dirt will end up all the way up there, clearing out that area for our next bit of stone to come in, and then it's tall enough that I can push it out of the way. So we just need double piston extenders, and I found a really nice design for one of these. So it's a repeater on a 4-tick delay with an observer looking straight down into it, and a block on top of the observer, and then just in front here I'm going to use a sticky piston for the first one, and just a regular piston because I don't want to be pulling this block back. And then I just need a button to power this thing. Boom! So what we'll do is we'll have our bit of dirt up here. Let's jump up. Bit of dirt with our tree on top, and we can just go boom, 2 blocks tall, so I need to fit a whole bunch of these in there, and there's not a lot of room. But the good thing about this is that block there does not necessarily have to be a block. It can be a dropper, which I've already got right there, and that thing will still work. And just like that, we have step number 4. So I've got all my double piston extenders in the bottom there, so if we've got our sideways growing tree right there, we can just go step number 4, boom, and they're both up, and that area is cleared again. And now all we have to do is push these guys out of the way, and that's why I left everything pretty low out the back there, because we're going to push it in that direction. But there's actually a lot here to remember. So when we push it over, I can't just push it over one block like that, because we're going to have our line of moss there, down the bottom where everything's grown. And if we've got a little azalea bush there, it will not grow if there's a bit of dirt there. So it's okay to have blocks down the bottom here, just on this first level. But any block up here on the second level will stop that little tree from growing. So when I push it over, I need to push it over 2 blocks. So we need another double piston extender. And I can't actually, if I'm putting a double piston extender here, I can't actually push that bit of wood out of the way, but that's fine. Wood does not stop the tree from growing, so the rooted dirt will stop it, but the wood won't. So when we do our double piston extender, I just need to get that dirt out of the way, and that little bit of wood can stay right there. And once again, I found an awesome design for it, so we're going to go 2 sticky pistons, and the last block is going to be a bit of wood, because that won't stop our tree from growing. And what we'll do is we'll have a block here, bit of redstone dust, and 2 observers. So we'll place our button down there to trigger it, and I've built myself a little tree here. So with one press of the button, that looks like it doesn't work because it's left the block out there. But this design, you actually need to pulse it twice. So we hit it again, and it'll grab that block and bring it back. And so we've pushed our dirt block out, 2 blocks out of the way. Our tree can grow, but the problem with this is the next time we grow a tree and start pushing it up, we're going to have all this wood in the way. So I just figured I can't move this bit of wood. It's going to stay there forever, and the tree will just grow through that. But I might as well push the others, so this is going to be even more than a rooted dirt farm. It's going to be an oak farm as well. So I can just have a bunch of pistons here to push those blocks over. And the good thing about this is they do not have to be a double piston extender, because that wood will not stop the tree from growing, so I only need to push it over 1 block. So yeah, my little rooted dirt farm is quickly turning into a tree farm, and quickly turning into a mess here. Gosh, I'm very messy. So anyway, I'm going to rig up a bunch of these. This is really bugging me. I want to fix that. I've got no idea what's wrong with it. Anyway, I've got all these set up, so I still haven't rigged up the double pulse yet, so we have to hit the button twice, but that is step number 5. But I brought you back because I wanted to show you something cool. So the reason I made this whole machine 7 blocks wide is because of a little problem here. So when we bone meal that moss, we have all this stuff grown on it. And once there's stuff on top, you can't actually bone meal it again to get the moss to spread. So rather than just break it with pistons, what I'm doing is I've got a little trapdoor, waterlogged trapdoor there, so I can release that. And the water flows the 7 blocks and just pushes everything over to a hopper here, and that goes into a composter. So rather than get all these items stacking up there and causing lag, here we can get a bit of bone meal back. But that's not the only water spout I've got. I've got another one, and let's actually show you this in action. So let's say we've had 1 tree grow there, so I've got a bit of dirt, but the rest is moss. See, what happens when the piston pushes a piece of moss? The moss doesn't move. The moss actually breaks. And that's what I mean about having a whole bunch of items just sitting around. So when we push that, our dirt goes up, all the moss breaks, and all the moss just flows over here to our composter. Alrighty, this thing is starting to look pretty monstrous. I've rigged up all the pistons up the top, and I've done the double pulse for my double piston extender. So what we do when we hit the button here, we power this block, and that powers the redstone dust that fires our pistons once. Then we've got a long delay, we hit another block, and that powers it again. So that is all up and running. But I've got some awesome news, guys. Awesome news. Check this out. Oh, what's that? A working stone generator. So I finally figured it out. Silly me, that piston right there, I'd put in regular pistons and it was supposed to be a sticky piston. So that's been bothering me all day long, and yeah, it was just a simple solution. So now we can test the whole thing. So we had that run along there, and it's put our line of stone in. So step number 2, bone meal our moss, and it all spreads. And I'm actually going to force an azalea to grow here. Oh no, we've got one. I was going to plant one, but we've already got one. So that's good, and I'm falling all the way down. So then what we'll do is trigger this water, and I'll figure that out later. There we go. So that clears it, and that's all ready for the next step. Step number 3, we bone meal our azalea. Yes, we got our tree to grow. So we turn that off. Step number 4, we push it all up. Step number 5 is push them all over. Very nice. So that's all working perfectly, and that is as far as I've gotten in creative, guys. So now all I've got to do is rig this all up so I don't have to press the buttons one by one. I can just flick a switch and the entire thing will keep on running. So Cortez, you might be asking, how come it takes you so long to put out a video? Well, believe it or not, guys, it is now 2 days later. I had enormous trouble getting this thing to work. You see, I'm a good logical thinker. I can think through all these steps and do it easily with the button presses. But, you know, I'm not the greatest redstoner in the world, and I made a couple of very simple mistakes. So I rigged up the entire thing with redstone, and I thought I had it working. But the first problem was with these dispensers here that have to fire for a while to grow our azalea trees. They're run by that pulse extender there. So once I had everything rigged up and I thought it was working, I actually started tampering with the timing of that, and that broke everything because I was taking a signal from when this thing started and then just having it on a delay, and then firing my pistons over there. And it looked something like this. So when it turned on, boom, we got the signal. But that was no good, because as soon as I changed the timing, it changed the timing for everything else. So what I should have done to start with is, did I just lose? I just lost my repeater. I've got some more. That's okay. I should have just had it simply like this. So when you turn it on, there's no power, but when it finishes, then you get your signal, so I can change the timing of this as much as I want without affecting anything else in the machine. So that's what I should have done there, and that took me, a day and a half to figure out. And the other problem was I kept breaking my double piston extenders down here. So you know how they were working perfectly when I pushed the button? You watch what happens when I do this. Have I got another? Yes, I do. Let's fire this off. That'll break, but doesn't matter. No, it won't. We'll do it again. Here we go. When it starts up, there we go. Double piston extenders, all broken. So you see that little gap in between the pistons? That's not supposed to be there. So this thing was constantly breaking when I was testing it, and I didn't know why. But I finally figured it out. You see, I was triggering it with a button before. And when you press a button, like that stone button, that's a 10-tick pulse. That stays on for a long time and gives this thing enough time to work. And then I'm sending out a little signal from this that isn't long enough, and yeah, it kept breaking that. So what I actually had to do was just extend that pulse a bit, and I'll show you how I did it. So I just put couple of blocks here, and I'll just throw this together quickly and I'll bring you back. Okay, those pistons are back where they're supposed to be. So this is what I did. When this thing triggers, I've got the first pulse coming out of here, And then I've got another repeater just on a little bit of a delay, and that also powers it, and it just keeps that signal going for just long enough. So now when I trigger this thing, let's waste our 2 of these again. Here we go. And that works perfectly now. So they were my 2 mistakes. Something that a normal redstoner probably could have figured out in just a few seconds. But yeah, it took me 2 days. But it looks like it's all working now, guys. So let's actually give this a proper test run. So I'll make sure I've got enough bone meal going into there. And let's fire the thing up. So this should keep going around in a big cycle. And you notice I put we got a tree first time. And it's all pushed across except for that one bit of wood. So you notice I've got a great big window right here. It's just because I just thought this looks so cool. I want to be able to sit here and admire the view. And you can see I've got my timing pretty good there. That is running super quick. We don't get as many trees as I would like, but you know, that can't be helped. If an little azalea bush doesn't grow, then it doesn't grow. Oh, and I'll show you another mistake I made, which wasn't... Here we go. There's another big tree. Here it goes. All the way across. Looking lovely. Another mistake I made was just up here. Let's get up. When I first... oh, hang on. Can you get out of my way, please? Now we've got bushes growing in my face as well. Ah, okay. Get my axe out so I don't break any blocks here. When I first did this little thing, I actually had this block and glass and all that on this side, which meant it was 1 block away from that moss, and it meant no azalea tree would ever grow on that last one, so I had to move it over to here. These stupid little problems you get when you do redstone, but anyway guys, this is working, so that means the last thing to do is I need to rig up my blast chamber to destroy all of this so I don't have to chop it all down manually. And because I've never done one of these before, like I know you're supposed to time it so the TNT explodes in midair. I'm not going to bother with that. It's not a great big wall of stuff we need to destroy. I'm just going to land mine on a bit of obsidian. And there you have it, guys. Cortezerino's first fully automatic tree farm. That's supposed to be a rooted dirt farm, but we get so much wood from this, we might as well also call it a tree farm. This is pretty cool for, as you can see there, I've just got my little block of obsidian for it to land on, but it manages to blow everything up. And the way I'm timing my TNT there, I've just got a little item counter up here, so every time the machine does a full rotation, I'll send a signal to this dropper and it will fire an item over into this hopper, and once all 4 items are over in this side, it will drop a TNT. So every 4 cycles of the machine will get a TNT drop, and that seems to be fairly good timing. Like it doesn't cost me anything to dupe a TNT, so I might as well drop them pretty often. And I wasn't running it very long, but look at this. We've got how many stacks of rooted dirt? 3 and a bit stacks of rooted dirt and a whole lot of oak logs. This thing is an absolute success. Oh yeah, and I've got a little AFK spot in there. The only problem is this thing guzzles the bone meal. I ran out. I had to go and take all the bone meal out of my machine over there. So I either need to AFK at my skelly farm, or what I think I'm going to do is actually build Ilmango's big bone meal farm next to this so I can run both at the same time and constantly refill this. But that is a job for another day. So even though this was an awesome success, I do apologise that the entire video was just building this machine. I did intend to do a bunch of other things, like a little decorative build in the village, but yeah, we ran into too many snags and this took forever. But it is an awesome success. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm Cortezerino, and I'll see you later.